like to call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Ms. Acosta?
Here.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Here.
Mr. Holmes?
Here.
Mr. Rivera?
Here.
Mr. Sabrana?
Present.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
Mrs. Cadaspati?
Present. In compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following, announcing time, place, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, SNJ Today, the Press of Atlantic City, Nuestra Comunidad, Vista Bueno, the Clerk for the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office for Public Bulletin Board. We're going to ask that the students from Cunningham Academy come up for the flag salute. Mr. Mastorell, do we have a resolution for executive session?
We do.
Do I
Now,
have- Go ahead, sorry.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the City of Vineland Schools District will convene an executive session for the following reasons as outlined in NJSA 10:4-12. Discussions include a pending litigation matter, an employee matter, and any matters falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent the confidentiality is required in order for the attorney to exercise his ethical duties as a lawyer.
Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cadaspati? Motion carries.
Mr. Yana, do we have any special presentations this evening?
Yes, we do. We have three presentations. For our first presentation, Mr. Robert Rush, VHS teacher, Dr. Sandra Struther, Executive Director for Jobs for America's Graduates, New Jersey. They will provide a JAG presentation with their students. So we're going to use the screen, so we'll need to move. If all of the board members could join us in the audience for the rest of the presentations. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, the board, public. Bob Rush, Vineland High School. I've been a JAG specialist now for the past 6 years. We've done a lot over the years. Instead of me telling you everything that's going on for the past 6 years, I have several students here this evening, and I'm going to have them go over some information, how JAG has helped them, where they're going, some of them where they're from. As you can see, I push all the time. Are you the next big thing? Where are you going to go after high school? What job are you going to get? Career you're going to go? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to trade school? Are you going to go to military? What are you going to do after high school? We push every day in class life skills. We teach Robert's Rules of Order. We teach public speaking, communications, career readiness, community service efforts, all kinds of real situations that they would face outside of school. For the first student I have speaking is Joe Dietrich. Joe cannot be here this evening, but I do have a video that I'd like to play of him. If I can get the video up, and hopefully the volume works. Oop. We need volumes, yeah. Maybe not.
I don't have volume for some reason.
No volume? Technical difficulty, folks, sorry.
We might not be able to get volume.
All right, Joe, I will give you some information about Joe. Joe graduated in 2020. Joe has cerebral palsy. Joe was one of the students, there was no stopping him from doing anything that he set his mind to do. Since he has gotten out of high school, he's been back in to talk to other students several times. This past year, he's already been back into school 6 times already. He helps other students out, mentors. He's a student that goes above and beyond, and with his physical handicap that he has, he does not let him stop him whatsoever at all. So I apologize I can't play Joe. I will send it to everybody, however. I have 3 other students here this evening. One is the current president, Derek Okimmi. Oh, the arrow didn't work. It's frozen. Froze up. There we go. And I'm going to let him speak first. Derek?
Good evening. I'm Derek Okimmi, current JAG president. I'm here to tell you guys a few things about what JAG done to me for the past year that I've been there. This is my first year in JAG, and so far it's been great. It showed me life skills, like Mr. Rush told me. It's showed us real life situational things that we'll need in the work world. It's also taught me just everything that I'm going to need to be prepared for when I moving forward from high school. I plan to be a self-employed truck driver and own my own company, and Rush has gave me tips and tricks and even a handbook within the first marking period of school on to get my CDL license and whatnot. But we do community service hours. Recently we went to the Salvation Army. We've during the winter we packed gifts up for the needy. We've sorted clothes out and whatnot. But that's just a little bit of what JAG has done. This is my first year in JAG, and I wish I joined it just a little bit sooner, so I had a second year in here. But I have other people here they've been here for. Connor's been here for 2 years now, and he can tell you a little bit more about JAG. But next up, I could bring you up Connor Harris. This is Vice President.
Hello, as you know, I'm Connor, Vice President of the JAG program in Vineland High School. JAG has helped me apply myself to the world and has allowed me to get a job with Mr. Rush, teaching us how to fill out resumes, teaching us how to approach people and how to act professional. He has taught us many different things that I don't think I would have learned in any other class. As you know, as Derek said, we've volunteered, we've helped out where we can. Currently, we are starting the job fair where businesses from around Vineland can go and set up stands to reach out to students to see if any of them are interested. We have many different businesses come. We have Wawa, we have National Guard, and we have many other local businesses that are privately owned. I've been here for 2 years and I've learned a lot, and I'm really thankful to Mr. Rush for teaching me all that he has. I think I should introduce who's next. It's Dan Santos, our prior Vice President of JAG.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Santos, prior JAG President, class of 2020. I'm part of the National Guard 253rd Trans Unit up in Cape May. I also run calls with the city's volunteer fire department, Station 1, Center City Bomberos. The JAG itself, it helps you build your resume. He brings in different careers almost every other week. I believe it was 2019, we went to Washington where we were able to meet different JAG students from all across, and they gave us like different scenarios, what we are advancing, where we can help each other out, and yeah, thank you.
So, JAG itself teaches various items along the way. One of the things that we do every week, professional dress days. Students have to come dressed in a suit and a tie. Just as they're going out to a job, professional setting, they have to come in a suit and a tie every week. We have a fashion show, kind of in there too. They award each other, and the best dressed every week gets a Dunkin' Donuts card. Incentive to Dunkin' Donuts. JAG also has a lot of service, community service. We do Salvation Army quite a bit. Public events, various events around Vineland. There's some photographs up here of some students working at Burger King, Wendy's, job opportunities. Public speaking awards, the ones that are up there right now. The young girl, it's in the yellow for public speaking. She got a job at Century Bank back in 2016 and is still working at Century Bank as assistant manager. The one that's on the right, she was president in 2018. She was scared to death. She got up in front of the public. She got up in front of various events. Once she got up and talking, I couldn't stop her. Collaboration, down the bottom of the National Guard, the one side was Stockton University. JAG is not only me. JAG is everybody that's in our school itself. Guidance counselors, vice principals, everybody helps out in any way they can. The state helps out. We have events in December. We have an event in May. We have our annual job fair that's coming up in April. I expect to see everybody there, April 27th. We're going to start at 0800 and we're going to finish up at 12 noon. So if anybody has a business they would like to have a table, please give us a call. We have a lot of students that need jobs. I'd like to ask Dr. Struthers, who is the executive director for Jersey Jags, and I'm going to let her speak and give you guys some more information.
Good evening, everyone. and to Superintendent Yano and to the board and community, thank you for allowing us this opportunity to present this amazing program. It's always a pleasure to present JAG to our stakeholders and share updates on the incredible work of our JAG specialists and their students. Tonight I'll present a brief summary of the program, followed by a presentation to Mr. Bob Rush, who has been recently received the National 5 of 5 Award from JAG National. Next slide, please. So JAG is not just a local program, it is a national program. It is over 40 years old. It has serviced, as you see here on the slide, 1.5 million graduates. We are in 39 states. We serve, as you also see, a plethora of students across those states annually. New Jersey joined the network in 2011-12, and we are the flagship program of the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Now, this program in Vineland services what we would call high school or multi-year program. But as you can see, there are different models that JAG provides for our young people across the country. Next slide. So we serve students who have experienced significant challenges. We are dropout prevention. We focus on that. We consider ourselves the transformative program. We take students from where they are and we help them realize their skill sets. We help them master their skill sets through coaching, and that is through a classroom experience and some co-curricular experiences as well. We focus on workforce skill development with what we call JAG competencies, which are one-to-one aligned with New Jersey's career readiness standards. We not only just focus on work and that first work experience, we do focus also on post-secondary education. And we put post-secondary education, combined it with not only 2- and 4-year programs, but also training programs that gives students industry certifications so they can flourish once they graduate. In school, it's offered as a 4-credit elective for a full 12 months. And then after that 12 months, after that year, we participate in what's called the follow-up year. So after students who are in 12th grade, they graduate from JAG, the specialist contacts those students once a month and contacts their employers or their schools to see how they're doing, how they're faring. If students need additional support and services, we'll do what we can. We'll push our level best to make sure that they succeed and they reach their goals. So this is our model and our learning strategy, and it is 3-pronged. Our instructional model is project-based learning. So we pull from the Buck Institute in terms of the kind of project-based learning that we utilize. We want it to be student-centered. We want it to be high engagement, and make sure that the students are highly interactive. We have those PBLs, what we call PBLs, online as a part of our JAG database and our JAG Genius Learning Management System, where the specialists pull these project-based learning modules and implement them in the classroom with the students. What happens when that goes on? It's in those project-based learning modules that the young people learn the kinds of skills that our JAG leaders have talked about. They learn about public speaking. They get comfortable in working in groups. They meet the kinds of competencies that are at the top of the list that employers look for when they are hiring young people. So we use project-based learning on the regular along with other lessons that help them to grow. So it's not just a program that gives students some experience with interviewing and some experience in getting their resume together. We want them to grow, so we consider this a comprehensive model. Our second element is employer engagement. Employer engagement is incredibly important, as you know. That is based on the work of the JAG specialist, in this case, Mr. Rush, who establishes partnerships and connectivity with local employers to help students get jobs, get other kinds of training. And it's not just developing pathways for a job. We want the employers to engage us fully. We want them to come into the classroom. We want them to speak to the students about their journeys, about their experiences. We want them to come in and do mock interviews, for instance. We want them to share any kinds of training modules that may come from their organizations or companies. So it's a full engagement in terms of the employer piece of this model, and we want that to happen throughout the year. And even in our project-based learning modules, we call for employer engagement to be inserted into those modules. Our third area is trauma-informed care, and I know that's probably a different kind of piece in terms of learning, but we are clear on what it is that our students bring to the classroom, and they just don't bring themselves, they bring their experiences. And so what JAG National provides are resources for the specialists to assist those students. They assist them in case they need referral services. During COVID, we provided resources for students to deal with issues of home, food insecurities, anything that they were dealing with personally. We embed social and emotional learning activities. Many of the specialists use what's called Mindfulness Mondays, for instance, to get students to not only learn about themselves, but about where they are in this whole space of their experience, in this case, in the COVID pandemic, and how we can best help them when they're outside of the home. So we engage in this three-pronged strategy to assist students to grow, develop, achieve, and then succeed. Next slide. So this could not be done without our specialists. They transform lives in the classroom. They are 100% dedicated to the program. They need the time and attention not only to deliver content and instruction, but do the coaching that's necessary and the support that the students need throughout the year. They deliver our learning strategies. We focus on innovative instruction. We don't do what they call sage on the stage. We want the students to be fully embedded in their projects. They mentor and support. They are also a part of our team. This is in New Jersey. We have 12 programs at this point. By next year, we will have 18 or 19 sites. They come into team meetings. We share resources. We provide the professional development that they need as well. In addition to that, we take huge amounts of data, and we use what's called JAGForce. If any of you are familiar with Salesforce, it's an adaptation of Salesforce. JAG National has adapted that platform. The specialists enter data on a regular basis. We collect that data and we analyze it to see how well they're doing, and especially and most importantly, how well our students are doing. You've heard about follow-up services and employer engagement, and our support is always on the ready at the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce Foundation for what it is that our specialists may need. Next slide. So in the classroom, we have a ratio of 35 to 60 students for multi-year programs. Now that might seem a bit low for where you are in terms of your standards and class load, but we know with the students that we work with, they need the additional help and support and coaching and mentoring. And so we want to be able to give the specialists the kind of time that they need to work with the students on an ongoing basis. We don't just place students into the JAG classroom. The goal is to actually talk to the students and talk to them about JAG. We market to the students. Do you feel that this is something that would be good for you? Do you want to be a part of it? And so we have this mantra of need it, want it, and be able to benefit from it. If the student feels that way, they want to engage us, they want to be a part of JAG, we welcome them with open arms. Each of the classes we try to keep as small as possible for the same reasons mentioned earlier, with the time and attention that's needed to make sure each and every student does well. The JAG specialist is the go-to teacher. That's how we recruit. That's how we've been recruiting this year. That teacher that the students go to, everybody knows one or two. That the one that comes out of their pocket, they're spending money that's supposed to be spending. They are given extra time. They take on additional assignments. They coach. Those are the types of teachers that we want on our team. Another aspect of JAG, and this is coming from my almost 30 years of working with this demographic of student, it includes a leadership component. We call it the Career Association, and this really resonates with me because it says that there is no ceiling to where the JAG student can go. At this time, from one of our programs in the North region in North Jersey, there are 2 students that have already been admitted to NJIT. And they're going to meet a JAG alum who is in NJIT. And we just received our first Super Bowl ring. There are students that get scholarships. I can go on and on. But part of it is from this career association, where the students start to fill out who they are and what they are best in and what they can do, and they build that confidence. And it's in the career association with officer roles and a plan of work that they develop that allow them to get the kinds of professional skills that we practice as professionals on a daily basis. It is student-led, it is civic-minded, as you heard, and active engagement, of course, includes community service. The extracurricular piece includes 2 in-state conferences. We have a leadership development conference that usually happens at Rider University to give our young people a professional experience in a conference setting. We have workshops. The leaders that you just heard today are assigned to present to their fellow colleagues in the other programs about what they're doing and their plan of work. We have college campus tours. There are out-of-state opportunities as well for the National Student Leadership Academy, and the national office has just developed into its 2nd year the National Career Development Conference, where the students come and they compete against their cohorts in the other states, in addition to our state career development conference, where the students compete based on the competencies that they have learned and mastered against their cohorts in the other programs. So here are your results. I would say our, but I think these are yours. For the class of 2021, what JAG National standardizes for us is what it is that we should accomplish in each and every program every year. And for this year, this is the 505, what we call the 505 standards for JAG. We look at graduation rate, and this is for those students in that follow-up that had just graduated. We look at employment rate, full-time employment rate, positive outcomes, and further education rate. And in the 2nd column, you see the standards under JAG, and in the 3rd column that's highlighted, those are the results of Vineland High School under Mr. Rush. What happens when you meet those standards? Well, of course, you celebrate. The other thing that happens is at our national conference, at the National Training Seminar, each and every program receives a national award for meeting these outcomes. Now, I want to put some context on this here. When you look at employment rate alone for the students that we work with, the employment rate in the same demographic in New Jersey is in the single digits. We reached out to a psychometrician in the Department of Labor and asked them, like, 60%, what's 60% compared to what? And so we wanted to know, like, in the same demographic of student, what kinds of employment rates do they have that are probably not in JAG? When the data came to us, it came to us in the single digits. If you look at our website for JAG New Jersey, you will see those comparisons. And so to reach 60%, let alone almost 70%, says something, right? And this says something not only about Mr. Rush, who is leading this program, but it says even more about the potential and the talent and the skills and abilities of your students at Vineland. They do very well, very sharp young people. Same with further education rate. So why JAG, why now? We know it's a sense of urgency. We know our students need the kinds of supports. We know that it's been proven effective, and we are marching forward to reach the universe of those schools who need it. And in the schools that we're currently in, we are open and welcome to expansion for additional young people who could benefit from JAG. Very quickly, in our assessment of Mr. Rush's data, we've found just a couple bullet points I want to share with you. Since 2017, we have, yes, I will give it to him. Yes, thank you. We have serviced 225 students since 2017. The Vineland program has one of the highest employment rates among all of our programs in our network. And since 2018, the Vineland program has a higher graduation rate than the general population in this district. Okay, so that gives you some idea of the type of work that goes into JAG and its success. And so now, it is my honor and my pleasure to present to you and on the record and before the board this national award that was presented not only to us, because as a state we won a national award for meeting these criteria, but to Mr. Robert Rush, specialist for the JAG program in Vineland. Mr. Rush?
If I may, I better go for the students though, because if not for them, I wouldn't be here. Got it.
Thank you all so very much for your time. We appreciate it.
If I may real fast once again, April 27th, please mark it down on your calendar. VHS's annual job fair, community job fair and resource fair, April 27th, mark it down.
Thank you, and congratulations again, sir, for your job and your efforts for Vineland High School students. Excellent outcomes with the JAG program. At this time, I also would like to turn the podium a little bit, all right, so we can see our board members. Majority are here, right in the center. I would like to invite Mr. John Fuqua up to the podium. He will be speaking on Life Worth Living and the Credible Messenger program at Vineland High School. Mr. Fuqua, Dr. Stephen, thank you. I also want to say, introduce our prosecutor, Jennifer Webb McCrae is here as well. If I can ask her to come on up. If there are any questions after the presentation, Mr. Fuqua will address those questions. The prosecutor might have some answers for us as well, or Principal DeMarchi, myself, or the rest of the team. So again, I want to thank Mr. Fuqua and his team for being here. Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. Actually, good evening. I'm asking everybody to do me a favor. Everybody stand up real quick, 15 seconds. I'm gonna ask everybody to stand up. I'm gonna ask everybody to stand up. And for those in this room that are not members of the Vineland Board of Education, I'm gonna ask you to put your hands together for 10 seconds to celebrate the Vineland Board of Education. Now let's all be seated. Why I wanted to celebrate the Vineland Board of Education for one reason and one reason only. The first one is for your ability to think outside the box when you search for your next superintendent, and it landed on the name of Mr. Llanos. Give Mr. Llanos a round of applause. You guys hired a leader. A couple years ago when he came to this school, I got a call from him. I went to school with a guy by the name of Enrique Rivera at William Patterson University who worked under this man in Trenton for several years, and said, John, when Mr. Llanos come, make sure you greet him. He said, make sure y'all meet because y'all going to be doing work together soon. And it took a while because at the time, I put a post on my Facebook today. Today marks the 3-year anniversary of Life Worth Living. 3 years ago, the pandemic hit. I was working as an outreach coordinator for Complete Care. I went to work and my boss told me that I was going to now come to work and put a suit on and I was going to be reading people at the door to get COVID tested. I'm claustrophobic. I have other anxieties. I came home to my beautiful wife. Come up here, Tashika, please. I came home to my wife and I said, babe, I can't do it no more. So I went back to work the next day. I handed my resume in to the president of this board, Megan Spinelli, who I love. And I decided that I was going to cash my chips in, and I cashed in my 401k, and I put everything into Life Worth Living, which is my business. It's the business. I never had a biological child, but Life Worth Living is my baby. And one of the things that we was able to develop at Life Worth Living, because my wife is the co-founder of that company, we was able to develop this idea of a credible messenger. And what is a credible messenger? In 2008, this company was born inside of my head because my nephew was murdered on Christmas Eve. While I rushed to the scene of my nephew getting murdered at 11:30 p.m. on December the 24th, 2008, my mother had a heart attack and died. I buried my mother on December 30th, and I buried my nephew on December 31st. That day that I was standing in that hospital, I could pick up that phone and call a couple shady members of my family and guys in the neighborhood that I grew up with because we knew who had shot my nephew. But instead, I picked up the phone and I called my pastor, Albert Morgan, from Union Baptist Temple Church. And my nephew and my pastor arrived at that hospital in the nick of time. And we had a long conversation. And when I walked out of that hospital, I said, I never want a family to feel the way my family felt that night. You see, we needed therapy. We needed prayer. We needed real support. And over the next 7 days, I was going to have to figure out a way to bury my mother and my nephew. You see, for the Fuqua family, that year we had already lost 3 people before we lost Mary Jean Tillman and Raheem Lamar Stubbs. But I found a way to do it because my community supported me. And it was the work that needed to be done. You see, I had made it out of Bush in 1996. I got to William Patterson University, and I was never coming back here. But my nephew was engulfed in gang activity here, and it brought me back. But the message was not about Raheem. It was about so many more. So Life Worth Living was born. It would take us 9 years to actually put the pen to paper and start doing the work. So 3 years ago, I walked out of the office at Complete Care. We got a $39,000 grant, a gift from Melissa Helmbrick from UAG. She asked me if I had a wish list, what would I do? I said I need a full-time grant writer. She paid my grant writer for a year. That was her gift to me. We got a $39,000 grant in 2001. 2002, our budget was at $780,000, and for 2023, we're at a projected $1.2 million because we're doing the work. We created a national example. My prosecutor right here is the first person that threw money to us, the first person to give us an opportunity to do this work. And me and her butted heads for years because I didn't understand her job and she didn't understand what I was trying to do. But it was organized confusion, and now at this point it worked. We got a working relationship. I stand in front of y'all this evening as a man who has been blessed in so many ways, right? a vision, a dream, and a team. Right now, one of our biggest grants comes from the Department of Justice. We are currently supported federally. Our second largest grant comes from the Office of Attorney General for the second year in a row. Last year we got $404,000. This year we got $496,000. And we only moving the needle. And we only expanding. The work we started in Cumberland is now being done in Salem and Gloucester counties. I've been at Rowan University for the last 10 years doing this work. I've been at Penns Grove High School for the last 10 years doing this work because I believe in the work. Our hashtags are hashtag better together and hashtag do the work. If you can't handle those two, you cannot wear anything that say credible messenger, nor can you wear anything that say life worth living. Every single person behind me has had a Carey's background check because we work with kids. We do not work with pedophiles. I am against anybody that commit crimes. For the longest time, it took me a long time to even want to hire people to work for me. All these guys behind you could tell me I wanted to 1099 all of them because I didn't want to be responsible for what people do. Even if you're the prosecutor or the superintendent or the chief of police, the people that work under you have the ability to get every background check in the world, every psychological evaluation in the world, and they can still go out and break the law and do something to make your office look bad. If we can all predict what's going to happen to people, the world will be different, but we can't do that. These young people behind me have gave their time. Some of them committed crimes, and they've done what they needed to do to get back on track. My 4 guys that walked the halls of Vineland High School, I put their resumes up against anybody's. My brother, step up, Eddie. 15 years at Walmart management. He handled millions of dollars every single day, and he's been through the struggle with me from the beginning. Step up, Jesus. This young man right here committed a crime over 6 years ago. He did 5 years in prison. What position you got right now in Casa Pride?
Board president.
President of Casa Pride, one of the longest and strongest Hispanic community service programs, nonprofits in South Jersey. Step up, Raphael. What's your position at Casa Pride?
Vice president.
Vice president. They're doing the work. Victor Jimenez. On Sundays, what are you, Victor?
Pastor.
Pastor. What else do you run, Victor?
My own company.
What's the name of your company?
CPR, Community Progress and Restoration.
Let's go. At Life Worth Living, what we believe in is we believe in building kings and queens. You see, all of us never had all the opportunities at the beginning of life. But when they let a person like me at the table, what I'm going to do is open up space for people that need more opportunities. And that's what it's about. At the end of the day, we're trying to build up this community. Those 4 men that just spoke all live in Vineland. Eddie, what's your address?
745 Southeast Avenue, 10 years plus.
So you live down the street from a couple of housing developments?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's your address, Victor?
25 West Park Avenue.
You live across the street from where?
Right down the street from 4th Street Apartments.
Okay. You live by the high school? How far you live from the high school? Okay. What's your address?
310 West Grape Street.
Okay. I think that's the middle of the hood. What's your address?
794 East Walnut Road.
East Walnut Road. Vineland is well represented here. This y'all community. Life Worth Living is housed in Bristol, New Jersey. I ain't send Bristol people to y'all schools. We send people that live here. These kids know these guys when they see them in that school. So they're going to move a different way. They're going to talk to them different. I asked these 4 guys behind me to meet in front of that school every morning at 6:50 to walk into that school as a unit. So those young people can see that people that look like us can work. And we can do the real work. And we can encourage each other to do better. Right now, it's not an anomaly, guys. School violence is up across the country. It's up across the country. Y'all brought in the superintendent that had the vision and say, listen, we just had a melee at our school 2 days in a row. I need help. One of the things I want to say to y'all, while Life Worth Living do answers RFPs, and we do go after grants, I do not solicit my business. To see us in a school, we had to be called. I do not ambulance chase. I did that for 10 years with Steer Straight. I was going around the state of New Jersey. Now, me and Mike spoke in every school in the state of New Jersey. I could put my money on that, but we asked people to bring us in. When I was doing that, I felt uncomfortable. And when I started my own company, I said I would never. So the progress about us moving into our county has been slow, but it's been on purpose because we wasn't just going to take any job and we're not just chasing any check. I respect you. I respect you as a leader. And at the end of the day, being a leader is not easy. Everybody can't do it. But what we came here to do is to simply support. We're not security. We're not trying to push people out the way. We want to have support in the city of Vineland. We watched that video with those kids fighting. It bothered us. We watched the video the next day. It bothered us. Victor was up at the school. He on my phone. Eddie saying what we going to do. And Mr. Llanos made a call. And unfortunately, I sat at the table with him and I said, listen, we'll be ready to go. You tell me when. We showed up Monday after the Super Bowl. It's not a popular day nowhere in America, especially in South Jersey. And the Eagles done lost. Sidebar, I'm a Chiefs fan, right? So a lot of people ain't show up to work on Monday. We had a planned meeting that day. But when Mr. Craig walked in there and said, we down half of our security, we down our teachers, me and my guy said, let's get to work. And that's what we did. Could the rollout been different? Absolutely. But you can't argue the results. Right now, they're de-escalating at a high number. Right now, fights are down. Right now, the kids are not in the hallways. They get into class. Have we run into some problems? Absolutely, because some people don't like change, and I get that. But we need to understand that we're not there to replace anybody. On Friday, I'm making it my business that we're going to support, and we're going to speak to the security team on Friday morning at a meeting and let them know what we're here for. We're only here in support. You can pick up the phone and call Terrence Johnson at Cumberland Regional High School and ask them how effective we are. You can pick up the phone and call Bristol High School and ask them how effective we are. You can pick up the phone and call Pennsgrove High School and ask them how effective we are. We are here to help, nothing else. And it'll be better together. That's the only way it works. It can't be no different. Sometimes some of our egos don't get bruised. Sometimes we want things to go differently. But as adults, we get to have those conversations, whether it's in these kind of forums or in back rooms. But we're here to help these kids. That's the mission of this board. And that's the mission of Life Worth Living. Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you for your words. President Spinelli had texted me during your session and asked, that I say publicly to you that she is a supporter of the program. She believes in the work that you're doing and just wanted that to be announced. She could not be with us this evening because she's on a work event. So I wanted to share that from President Spinelli. We also appreciate the fact that you're in this battle with us because we're saving lives. And I know Principal DeMarchi and her team every day appreciate the work that you're doing, the connections that you're making with our staff, our students especially, and our security team. Mr. Provenzano set up that meeting so you guys can have a conversation to talk with his crew as well. And we appreciate the work. You put it beautifully. We're in this together. We have to work together. This is something that is important to us. I also want to ask our board members now, if there are any questions.
Any questions? I'm sorry.
That's right.
You want us to talk about Vineland specifically? Because that's what we do. Hey, guys, step up real quick. These four, okay, two got bald heads, two got nice heads there. These four guys, they're tasked with this right here. Let me say something to y'all. And I want to be clear with you. Walking in Life Worth Living, one of the things that I wanted to do, me and my wife have actually had arguments about this because she has a master's degree. I wanted everybody to walk into our company to make at least $25 an hour because I want them one day to be able to purchase a home in the community that they live in. So when these guys walk in, the first thing that we do is look at what professional development they all need. So we start talking about trainings. We hooked up with this organization up in Gazabos Unidos in Hudson County, New Jersey, who has the support of their juvenile judges, their whole county. This company is led by Dennis Febo. They operating on like $11 million budget right now. They do the same stuff that we do, and they got all the support across the board in their county. They've been doing credible messenger work for the last 7 years. All of our training goes through his organization. We also connected with a group that does credible messenger, CM3 in Washington, D.C., who's in charge of actually either sending juveniles to jail or to home, and they are credible messengers. All of our guys have a national certification as a credible messenger. We do training every week. They all got training almost every Friday. We'll pull these guys from Friday training as Vineland High School. So right now in the high schools, our guys are in there primarily to de-escalate, to motivate, and to do conflict resolution if they have to. And they all have training at it. They all have PhDs in being knuckleheads at one time. A lot of them could almost feel the forecast before it's happening. They could, in the layman's terms, they could see the forest from the trees. They have an innate ability to see something before it happens. They know the kids from the community, know how to attach to them, and they also know how to engage. We know how to remove people from bad situations, and we know how to de-escalate. So we're simply in y'all hallways to motivate kids. We want kids to get to class. Not only do we want them to get to class, we want to encourage them to go in there and learn. The first question the credible messenger asks the youth is, what can we do for you? The second is, how can we help? That's our language. That's our verbiage. If we ain't living by that, we ain't living by nothing. That's the code that we live by. So at the end of the day, what we want to do is support, and we want to support some kids that have no other support at home. Some of y'all kids are being just told to go to school. They ain't told to come here to do their best. They ain't told to come here to join JAG. Mom and dad just want them at the house. Victor, Eddie, Jesus, and Raphael going to encourage them to do more than they did when they was in high school, because they want those kids to be the very best that they could be, and one of our goals is to create better citizens. So that's what we're doing right now in y'all school. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Any other questions, concerns, or comments? No.
They're providing a service, right? So their service that they're providing is de-escalation and motivation, right? Like, so they're in the hallways, they're talking to kids, they're not responding to fights, but if they happen to be there and there's a fight happening, they're trying to de-escalate the students that are around that situation. They're supporting security. We've seen different events that are happening where security needs assistance. Security is the first response when there are different types of situations. Mm-hmm. That's the job of administration and security, to jump in and separate students. Now, there's also what we would require any human being to do. If you see a child being beaten down in a hallway, we would expect anyone to actually intervene at that moment. So if these gentlemen, I would expect, if there's something happening like that and security is on the way, I hope that they'll intervene in that type of situation. But our primary response, administration, security, and that's typically how we've been proceeding in the last couple of weeks.
And if I could speak on that, since we've been here, what's your name, brother? Mr. Sabrina. Since we've been here, we've had to physically put our hands on one kid to break up a fight, because it was in a dark area where it was taking a while for security to get there. And my brother actually broke that fight up. We do incident reports. We don't put names in them, but we talk about what did happen. Security did eventually get there and handle the situation. But we also walk into your school. The state regulations is a $2 million insurance policy. We have a $3 million insurance policy. If anything go wrong, if anybody say one of our staff put their hands on them or one of them get hurt at the job, they're covered through Life Worth Living. None of that falls on the district.
Right.
And that's why I said again, brother, you guys hired a great leader. Some people wait for direction, and some people know how to give direction. And when our phone rang, we came. Could have been a better communication about how we was going to roll out. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. I won't argue that. but we are here. We only want to help. We're not trying to take away from anybody. That's why we're going to sit down with security and we're going to explain what we do. I want us to be on the same page because at the end of the day, from here to California, every school district is limited as far as staff. Right now, our kids are coming out of a pandemic. We don't know what's going on with them. So we only want to support any way we can. And that's what our efforts is all about.
Thank you. Mr. Costa.
Absolutely. Absolutely going to middle schools. Just last week, Victor spoke at Wallace Middle School for a group of kids. But right now, one of the things, I want to be honest with y'all, I can't be anything else but transparent. We've had Millville on pause for a year. I don't have enough staff. There's not enough qualified people, and I don't just take anybody. That's why I want y'all to know we do a vetting process. Some of these guys worked for me for 2 months before they was even hired. So right now, capacity-wise, we are in 4 schools, and my staff is pushed to the brink. Right now, I'm looking to do more hiring, but that's not going to happen overnight again because I take my time. Not only do we do a background check through the computer, we also do a background check in the community. So we're very, very patient at bringing anybody in, but we would definitely do middle school kids. Right now, one of the things that we're seeing trending is a lot of our uptick in violence is right now, unfortunately, in 6th and 7th grade. We're seeing it right now. We're also seeing the influx of gang activity with that age group. They're creating their own gangs, their own sets, and don't care how big or how small the town is, it's happening everywhere. So we definitely look into doing middle school programming. No. Yeah, the numbers at Life Worth Living are set by me. And I say that positively because for a long time, last summer I went to a Credible Messenger. I went to a Credible Messenger Summit in Houston, Texas, where I was sitting in rooms with people that were paying people $15 and $14 an hour. And they was coming with grim stories of credible messengers being shot. You see, one of the things that we do, and I ain't talking about it here because it's not what we doing in violent schools, when a violent act takes place in our community, we are first responders. Our phone ring, who got a hoodie on with 420-LIFE on the back of it? That's our hotline. We got a hotline, 856-42-LIFE, 5433. If there's an issue going on in your community, give us a call because the first thing we want to do is come de-escalate. We don't want no more heightened violence. We got a contract right now with the hospital where we're doing hospital-based violence. Somebody go in as a victim, we go in. We usually know almost everybody in the community. We talk to the person's bedside, see who his family is. We recognize the situation, and right away we get to work. When we had the mass shooting a couple years ago, we got a grant from Madam Prosecutor, and we burned through it in 2 months because there was so many people connected to violence where if it's a strand or tentacle of violence, we respond to it. So my guys and girls are in very, very high crime areas. We going to do intakes on people in homes. I send my beautiful wife with credible messengers in places that are not safe. We don't just operate from 9 to 5. If our phone ring at 2 in the morning, we have to be on that call. If it's a shooting at a bar at 3:30 a.m., I'm probably going to be there. I can attest, I can't tell you how many times I called Mayor Kelly and Chief Gamera to meet them on scenes of crimes in the city of Bridgeton. I can't say it enough. So we respond. And because my guys are going out there in response, they got to be able to have a livable wage. And at the same time, I'm not in a position yet to give them benefits. So that salary helps cover the things that they may need. And I didn't want to be a company that was top heavy when it came to pay. I wanted to trickle down to everybody so money would not be an issue for them to get up and want to do the work. Because they work at Life Worth Living, I encourage them that they don't got to work nowhere else. And I want to get back on a 4-day schedule where my staff can be home from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to spend time with their families. So that's our motto. We're going to continue to do that. The more that we get, I'm gonna give them even more raises because I want them to be able to also enjoy life while they're on earth, not in the afterlife.
I also want to invite our prosecutor to join us. I know that maybe there's maybe you want to say a few words. Please come on up. Thank you. That's all. Welcome our prosecutor.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jennifer Webb McCrae. I am the Cumberland County prosecutor. I have to start out by saying I am a Vineland native. I am a proud Vineland Public School graduate. So I'll start out with that, And when I retire from this job, I want to go work for John Fuqua to have a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm here, I have to say this disclaimer, the prosecutor's code of ethics does not permit me to endorse any one organization. I'm here tonight to endorse the concept of credible messengers. And it's because of my own private life testimony. My faith tells me that all individuals, even the ones that we have to send away for life, can be redeemed. So that's where I start. And I have a story, it's very short, that I'm going to tell you about my experience when I was in high school. I tell this story when I go talk to young people. I was a very good student. I was a class officer for 3 years, got good grades, but I got beat up one time, and I promised myself I would never get beat up again. And I was suspended probably 3 or 4 times for fighting. So in my senior year of school, somebody wanted to fight me. And I said, I'm on my way to college. I don't want to get suspended again. I'll meet you at your bus stop to fight you. So I had friends who had cars at that time. So we followed the bus to the bus stop, and I had a fight with the girl that wanted to fight me. I got arrested. I got arrested at Vineland High School 1112 and carted out the front of the building. All of you know there are windows across the front of Vineland High School building. I tell that story because even after becoming an attorney, I had to put that on my bar admission application. I was nominated, confirmed, renominated by another governor, confirmed, and I've been renominated a 3rd time, each time having to place that on my application and background history to stay prosecutor of Cumberland County. And it was Grace that saved me, right? Because she could have hit her head on a curb and been killed, and my story would have ended differently. And when presented with this Credible Messenger program, it came in about 2017 when we got a grant called CC Thrive, which was to address gang and gun violence amongst 10 to 25-year-olds. You all know we live in a beautiful community, but it is a very poor community. And for our 160,000 residents, we have prorated about the same amount of violence as places like Patterson, as places like Trenton, as places like Newark. If we keep doing the same thing that we've been doing for 50 years and expecting a different result, we will not get it. So this program, the Credible Messenger program, was presented to me by a young lady who now works for me named Tracy Swan. And John had been talking to me for probably the first 7 years of my 10 years since 2010 as prosecutor about doing something similar. We weren't calling it Credible Messenger at the time, but that's what you were conceiving in your head. The first question I asked is, why is a prosecutor charged with doing this? My job is to hold people accountable and sometimes send them to jail. But many of you know my background. I started my career as a public defender, went into private practice and represented lots of boards, served on this school board, and represented Millville School Board, but still was a criminal defense attorney. And I realized we're not going to arrest our way out of the problems that we have. Most people are not spending the rest of their life in jail. So we have to figure out how to interrupt and disrupt violence in effective ways. And I became a believer because in looking at credible messenger programs across the country and in this state, they are disrupting violence in an effective way. So what I said to my staff was, if we are going to help stand up a credible messenger program that is not part of the prosecutor's office, but that we can partner with, we have to make sure it has the ethics that are necessary to have a credible, reliable program. And John talked about Dennis Febo from Hudson County. We brought him down to train the first set of credible messengers so that we had ethics, so that we had policy, so that we had responsible practices so that people like me would be willing to take the risk on programs like this. So, you know, I am not responsible for John's background process because he is his own entity, but when creating the program for my office and deciding to work with his program, I said, these things have to be in place. We have to have a background process. You have to give me names. I have to vet them through my intelligence. And that's how we started our process. And we went through that first grant, and just last week, some of you were there, we just contracted with Life Worth Living again for a program called, a grant and program called CC Inc., Cumberland County Identify, Notify, and Care. If you look at the trauma that kids are experiencing, if you look at you know, some of the things that they witness in their communities, unfortunately, we can tell who are going to be at risk. And what they're going to be doing with that program is identifying the young people and providing mentorship and access to other resources that turn the tide of their life. So in closing, I just wanted to come up and talk a little bit about, yes, this is new. Yes, this is novel. Yes, it contains an amount of risk. But I feel that we have stood up a program that is responsible because we started with the policy and the ethics and the practices that I believe help us manage that risk and have a successful program for the initiatives that I have. I had a very frank conversation with Mr. Yano. I said, this is what I do. This is what you should do. I'm using my lawyer hat to manage risk. But I endorse the concept. I can tell you that when we had the mass shooting, we were not prepared to deal with the trauma that caused to the greater Bridgeton community. When we had the shooting at the Wawa here in Vineland, I was like, oh, not my Wawa. I have to be able to go into my Wawa. That's going to disrupt the community's feeling of safety. Mr. Jimenez was right there talking to the young people, unfortunately, some of which we had to charge, but the others that might have picked up guns to create more violence in the community had he not been there to disrupt that situation. We just charged 2 juveniles in the city of Bridgeton for a heinous murder of one individual and a shooting of another. John was right there at Bridgeton High School to talk to the other youth about why they should not pick up guns, why they should not, understanding that when you do that, everybody loses, 2 families lose. It can affect the trajectory of the rest of your life. And that's why I endorse the Credible Messenger program. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Our third presentation, we will have Mr. Mustarell, our business administrator. Would you like to start with a stretch, or are you good?
I don't know how you follow that, but. Good. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Members of the board, Mr. Yano, colleagues, members of the community. This is the 23-24 proposed school district budget. You can direct your attention to the screen. We'll be talking about the budgeting process, historical summaries, proposed revenues, proposed tax levy, proposed appropriations, and budget changes and highlights. So the process is administrative meets. We budget planning meetings. We have principal meetings with our accounting staff for the school-based budgets. I meet with the supervisor and department heads for the district budget, and then we review everything again with administrative and the board members to discuss increases, decreases, proposals, and initiatives. So this is the enrollment for the last 5 years, starting with 22-23, our most current year. Our enrollment is 9788, and that's strictly K-12 resident enrollment. So it's trending downwards. We are going back up this year, but we are trending downwards. The proposed, current, and historical revenues. So the first column is the 23-24 proposed budget. The second column is our current budget, and the third column is our actual figures from 21-22. The tax levy, we're presenting a 6% increase for school tax, a 6% increase on the rate. That'll give us approximately $2.1 million. We have use of fund balance, which is part of our budget. We have state aid. Our state aid did go up by $1.6 million, 1.66 actually. We have other miscellaneous revenues, pretty stagnant at around $1 million. Our Medicaid is pretty stagnant, and our extraordinary aid, we did increase by $500,000. This totals to $187,085,786 for the proposed budget next year. This is a picture of the revenues. I think you could see state aid being 75% of our budget. It's pretty much the majority of our budget. And extraordinary aid is another 1.7, so it really comes to like 76%. So the state has a computation. It's called local fair share. The state says we should be taxing at around $71.5 million. Our proposed tax levy is $29.8 million. So the amount below state requirements is 41.6 and change. This means, according to the state, we are under-taxing the residents of Vineland. Wanted to show the school tax information. The 23-24 ratables or assessed valuations is at $3.9 billion. The average home assessment is $161,268. The proposed tax amount is $29,849,146. Our rate will increase to 0.7643. That's a 4.33 cent tax rate from last year, or the current year, which is equivalent to the 6%, as we mentioned. What that means is to the average homeowner of $161,000 assessment, it's just under $70 or just under $6 a month. Tax rate comparisons, I wanted to show how we fare with our total tax rate as a county. So the highlights are the county is at 1.24, the school is at 0.721, the municipal is at 1.059, so the city is 46.88% higher than we are. The county is almost 72% higher than we are. In most districts, most counties, you would see the school as the lion's share of the tax rate. Here's the appropriation side, the expenses. I broke it down by cost centers. First column is your 23-24 proposed budget. Second column is our current 22-23 budget. And the last column is the 21-22 actuals, as per our audit. As you can see, now the regular programs are $52 million, which is the lion's share of our expenses, all being directed towards instructional. Our total here says $190 million. That's almost $3 million than our actual budget because Title I and Title IIA contribute to the school-based budgets. Again, here's a picture of the appropriation side. As you can see from the pie graph, between regular education, categoricals, special education, tuition, clubs, sports, part of the benefits and payroll taxes, the lion's share is for direct instruction. Here's another picture of the expenses. I wanted to show that most of our expenses are wrapped up in salaries and benefits and payroll taxes. So as you can see, 70% or $134 million is salaries and benefits. Everything else, tuitions, supplies, services, is $56 million or 30%. Some of the 23-24 proposed budget changes. We have, excess surplus differential, this is actually a negative amount. It's negatively affecting our budget. The amount we had from 2022 is higher than the amount we had from 21-22 by almost $5 million. It was a decrease. So that negatively affected our budget. We have unassigned fund balance. The past 2 years, the states required us to have 4% in unassigned fund balance. They're going back to the 2%, which positively affects our budget by $3.3 million. However, that's just 1 year. In 24-25, we're going to have to find that money again. So it's a 1-year fix. We estimate contractual salaries to increase by 3%, by $3 million. We estimate utilities are going to increase by $180,000 based on 21-22 actuals. We know that hospitalization is going to go up by 8.58%. Prescription will go up no more than 4%. Vision and dental are projected to increase by 2% for a total of approximately $2.4 million. From our latest state payment schedule for charter schools that was released in December from the state, charter schools will increase by $180,000. We know there will be a reduction in our VOTEC regular educational tuition by $1 million. So we'll be able to save money there. I've been in touch with our insurance company. Insurances, workman's comp, aggregate is supposed to go up by 8 to 12%. Also within this budget, in an effort to maximize the use of resources we have, the district will be moving to enrollment-driven staffing to address class size concerns. The district will now be budgeting an infusion into our maintenance reserve, and this results in a $2.8 million decrease in our expenses. The past 2 years, because we've seen this, we know what's going to happen in 24-25. There's going to be a fiscal cliff. We know we're not going to have the, come back here. We know the excess surplus from this slide is going to hurt us again. We know we're not going to have the $3.3 million from the unassigned fund balance. Everything is going up. So we've been putting money away the past 2 years in the maintenance reserve because we knew this rainy day was coming, which will be in 24-25. We will not be able to budget that maintenance reserve in 23-24, however. Some of the budget highlights for 23-24, school security. We plan on partnering with the city for 2 Class 2 officers. We have Navigate 360 software, CRG mapping, and we're hopefully creating a 12-month senior security officer position. I think it's pertinent to mention that we've gotten 2 SDA grants from the state, both approximately $1.7 million each, and we are using the first grant this year for cameras, upgrades, replacements at the secondary level, and we do plan on using the other 1.7 for camera upgrades and replacements at the elementary and administrative buildings. Some of the highlights for transportation: we're continuing our Trans Finder investment. This includes the Student Finder, which will allow parents to track their children while on Vineland buses. There's an app you can download. It'll all be explained soon. Pardon me. We're continuing our bus fleet investment. We're adding 8 bus drivers. We got hit this year with additional routes we didn't count on. They are contracted right now, so we want to increase our bus drivers so we could bring those routes back and save money in the process. It's also noteworthy that the 22-23 fiscal year, we have contracted studies to help plan us for efficiencies. We have a transportation study out and a demographic study out right now. Special education, we're increasing to one child study team. This is funded by restructuring of various district programs, where we've increased 1-to-1 nursing for IEP students and 504 plans. They seem to go up every year. These services are required by a physician and placed in a student's educational plan. We're increasing 1 intellectual disabled class. That's a teacher and 2 aides. This additional class will allow students to remain in district and benefit from the least restrictive environment. Facilities, 2 chillers at Memorial, we're reconditioning them. Johnstone life safety sprinkler system repairs and upgrades. A playground at Johnstone for the pre-K program. VHS digital message board sign out front. VHS generator refurbishment. Sabatier fire door improvements. Sabatier, Rossi, and Vineland High School, Tanner kitchen equipment upgrades. Wallace construction of classroom walls. Johnstone and Winslow asbestos preventative maintenance, and security audit recommendation upgrades like signage, painting, lockdown shades. Some of the program and curriculum highlights: critical curricular resources and student options through the following activities: continued focus on foundations, structured literacy support, continued focus on mathematics implementation K-12, support linked data-driven instructional decisions, focused professional learning communities activities, focus on improving instruction through evaluation rubric upgrades and training, continued focus on supporting and expanding career and technical pathways for construction, agricultural, studio, graphic design, and new health pathways. Expand social and emotional learning supports for students, including restorative practices. Revise middle school science, technology, engineering, and math or STEM curriculums in the middle school with Project Lead the Way. Continue to encourage and expand teacher advanced degree programs. Expand college partnerships for students seeking college credit. I think it's also pertinent to address the 6% tax increase. Again, with this fiscal cliff we know is coming, we're trying to get ahead of the game. It won't solve the problem by any stretch of the imagination. You saw yourself on the slideshow how we're 40-some million dollars undertaxed, but it will help with the eventual cuts. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
So we're done with our special presentations. We'll make our way back up to the time. Okay, thank you.
At this time, we're going to retire back into executive session. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Mr. Yana, do we have a HIB report?
Yes, we do. Our HIB report is noted on our agenda. It is there for review, so I'd like to just make sure that the public knows that it's always posted on our website and on our agenda. Thank you.
Approval of minutes, February 1st, 2023, combined meeting. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Roll call?
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sobrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do we have any committee reports tonight? No committee reports? Mr. Barcy, do you have any report as board solicitor?
I do not.
Could we have our student representative come up? Ryan Pollock.
Good evening, Vineland Board of Education. It's nice to see you all again. It's a pleasure to stand in front of you speaking on behalf of myself and my fellow VHS Class of 2023 officers. We're happy to report that discipline has been dying down consistently. We're mid-third marking period at the moment, and we have some amazing accomplishments coming up. Our Spirit Week is next week, and we're looking forward to celebrating St. Patrick's Day. And we have prom coming up on June 1st. We have our honors banquets, scholarships, ceremonies, and athletic banquets, all in preparation for our graduation, which is on June 15th. So we look forward to keeping you all posted, and I'll see you all next month. Thank you.
The board has a statement we'd like to read prior to public comment. It's a negotiations update. The board and the UAW have been negotiating for a new collective negotiations agreement to replace the one expired on June 30th, 2022. The employees in this union are the maintenance, custodian personnel, bus drivers, security guards, teachers' aides, and interpreters, food service workers, and some technology personnel. It is a diverse group, each with their own issues to address. Since May 2022, the parties have met on several occasions and exchanged multiple proposals. The board and the union work together to try to address certain inequities within the group, as well as the fact that this group, more than any in the district, is impacted by the mandatory minimum wage adjustments in the state. The board and the UAW made strides and came to agreements on many items, most of which serve to address concerns raised by the UAW. Despite our efforts, it appears that the UAW has turned down the board's latest offer at a meeting which the union held last night. The board believed it offered a fair proposal which addressed many of the concerns and issues raised by the UAW during the past 10 months while also balancing the board's financial limitations. Many meetings were held in order to develop this proposal, and we are disappointed the two sides could not come to a deal and move forward. While the sides may disagree at this time, we know that everyone will continue to work together to ensure that the district continues to run in a manner which provides the students with a positive and valuable experience here in Vineland. At this juncture, the board and the union will move forward with mediation, where a state-appointed mediator will be assigned to attempt to resolve the outstanding issues. We're going to have public comment on agenda items only. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any yellow papers?
We do. Marlene Cranock?
Correct.
It's about finance item 4.7, which is Life Worth Living mentoring contract.
Good evening. I'm a 1986 graduate of Vineland High School, and I have been a teacher at Vineland High School North for the past 26 years. Much like schools around our country, following the pandemic, Vineland High School North has seen an increase in aggressive student behaviors through fighting, usage of drugs, HIB reports, and overall disrespect toward staff. Over the years, this district has cut staffing to the point where this building is unable to be safely monitored throughout the entire day. Our teachers, security guards, support staff, and administrators are working extremely hard every day to address student behaviors. Although our administration has been creative with some strategies to mitigate issues, we are unable to fully address all of these issues simply because there are not enough staff to supervise the entire building all day long. This creates a safety concern. This district is choosing to use ESSER funds to contract the services of an outside organization, Life Worth Living, rather than use those ESSER funds to employ additional certified staff and/or security guards at Vineland High School North. The individuals employed through this organization may not need to go through the same criminal background check as district employees. This should be concerning to you. Ask yourself, would you want your child attending a school that employs individuals that may not need to go through the same criminal background check as employees? I know I wouldn't. On the agenda tonight, you are voting on this organization's contract under finance item number 4.7. The contract runs from February 13th through June 15th at a per diem rate of $675 for 4 individuals to mitigate students' issues during non-educational times. These individuals are not addressing students regarding basic school rules, such as removal of wearing hoods in the building, moving students along in the hallways between class times. They are allowing students to gather in crowds, congesting the hallways, nor are they addressing students during class times that are roaming the hallways by asking for teacher passes or encouraging them to go on to class. Rather than allocate the ESSER funds to this organization, this district could and should use the $675 per day to employ district security guards. Building administration would then be able to direct those guards to follow school rules. Those funds could cover the cost of 6 guards. ESSER funds can be used to employ additional district staff and should be used for just that purpose. I encourage you tonight to either table the issue for further investigation in hiring additional district certified staff or security guards, or having a well-developed discussion tonight prior to voting on that agenda item. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Luz Vasquez. Credible messengers.
Luz Vasquez, parent. Unlike the previous speaker, I am a parent with a student in Vineland High School. I'm also an '89 graduate. So I've seen the ebbs and flows of the demographics in this city, the increase in violence. I do ask that this board use some cultural sensitivity in making these decisions. I think when you're dealing with a certain population that is unique in terms of the challenges, that have many variables that are poverty, incarceration of parents, foster care systems, you have parents that are addicted, relatives that are addicted. You're dealing with really harsh life issues that sometimes result in things being manifested in school and behaviors. I've seen it. I mean, I could have been a product of my own statistics as well, had it not been for community members standing in for me and my 5 siblings, and even assisting me, helping raise my children, all of which are Vineland High School graduates. As a single mother, my kids could have been a statistic. But I'm grateful for people who stood in the gap, and I am absolutely supportive of a different view of credible messengers. I know a few of them personally. I do believe in redemption, and I do believe that they speak a language that many of us do not speak because we have not experienced what these kids are experiencing right now. So to implement something that looks good on paper but is not relatable, is just not effective, and we have seen it it's not working. Now you put somebody that can relate to the experiences that the young people have experiences. They come from the same neighborhoods. They've gone through the very similar things. Then you have somebody that these students can relate to. I am in favor of that. I'm going to say, let's take a chance and look at the data, or a year from now, let's review it. And once we have some concrete data, And I'm going to say, as a parent, I'm willing to take that risk. If they're insured and I know what is needed, my daughter tells me that it's helping, that the morale, the kids feel like there's somebody there that can relate to them and care for them, then I'm willing as a parent to take a chance as well. And let's see what the data says. At this point right now, data cannot lie. Let's collect it. Let's stand there and let's support something that is different, but I think absolutely beneficial for our students. Thank you.
Okay. Under motions and resolutions, superintendent's recommendations for discussions and approval by the board, consent agenda.
Thank you. Requesting discussion and approval of personnel item 1.1, which includes retirements, resignations, terminations, substitutes, extracurricular activities, and volunteers.
Questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes, and congratulations to 9 more of our valued staff retiring with a total years of service of 215.
Thank you. Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Requesting discussion on procedure and operations 2.1 through 2.6. 2.1, approval of the following items noted on the agenda: trips, district travel, VHS field trip. 2.2, approval of the second reading of the policies for discussion as noted on our agenda. 2.3, approval of the first reading of the following policies. 2.4, we have 2 MOAs, memorandums between the Vineland Police Department and the Board of Education. 2.5, approval of a memorandum of agreement between the Vineland Board of Education and Rowan College of South Jersey Adult Center for Transition, ACT. And 2.6, approval of the State of New Jersey DOE Homeroom Student Safety Data System mid-year reporting for the first quarter of the 22-23 school year.
Questions or comments? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes, but I abstain from 2.5.
Thank you. Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Requesting discussion and approval for buildings and grounds items 3.1. 3.1 being approval of the American Littoral Society Incorporated, ALS MOU for Anthony Rossi Elementary School, effective March 9th through June 9th, 2023, at no cost to the district.
Questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti? Motion carries.
Requesting discussion and approval regarding finance items 4.1 through 4.7. 4.1, approval of budgetary transfers for general, school-based, and grants for January of 2023. 4.2, approval of the Board Secretary's report, and the Board Administrator Board Secretary certifies that there are no changes in anticipated revenues as noted on our agenda. 4.3, approval of the acceptance of the Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation grant as provided and on file with the Secretary of the Board. 4.4, approval of the submission and acceptance of the Schools to Skills grant in the amount of $5,000 with Home for Builders Institute, HBI, providing Home Depot gift cards for the use to purchase additional needed tools or materials for the HBI PACT program as part of the grant for the VHS Construction Trades program. 4.7, approval of teacher created materials training, 2-hour sessions of PD. 4.6, approval of the professional development sessions for the March 10th in-service day. If you click on the tab, you'll see that there's quite a selection of events for the 10th. 4.7, approval of the Life Worth Living mentoring contract for Vineland High School Student Mentoring Program effective February 13th through June 15th at a cost of $675 per diem, not to exceed $43,000.
Questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Madam President, just to follow up on a couple of questions I asked in the presentation. First of all, of course, I would have preferred to have that presentation prior to the motion and the vote. The second question is in regard to, A, the vetting of anyone that will be in that program, and B, liability for their actions in regard to their activities of de-escalating violence, and three, who they will be reporting to, who's responsible for their activities in the building, and therefore the direction and management of them.
I missed number 1, but number 2 and 3 are noted on the contract that's on our agenda. You know, they're carrying insurance. They are reporting anything to administration. They're at the direction of administration. They coordinate with Principal DeMarchi. And the vetting, right, as noted on the contract, requires 2 levels of vetting that's done.
Articulate that for anyone here right now.
Absolutely. So all of the employees of Life Worth Living are required to have criminal background checks. Our solicitor, Mr. DeSanto, reviewed the contract, made sure that all the components that we would typically expect of anyone working with students or in our schools. So students, all of the employees of Life Worth Living go through 2 levels, CHRI and CARI, criminal history record information and child abuse records information background checks. I believe the organization also conducts yearly checks on their folks and maintains a high level of insurance that indemnifies the district. That's also written into the contract, indemnification. If anything occurs with their program, the district is covered. But we believe that with the management that's happening and the coordination between administration and Life Worth Living, we're going to be in a very good place with the program.
And then the program sunsets at the end of the school year, at which point I would assume there will be a evaluation before continuing, perhaps another presentation.
Absolutely. There will be an evaluation. Life Worth Living is collecting data. School administration is also collecting their own data. We track through the continuous improvement guide process that Dr. Sneeden works with high school administration. We look at chronic absenteeism, discipline referrals, so they'll be comparing, pre and post data very rigorously, because we know before we move into any commitments to next year, we have to know that it was an effective program, because it is funding that is very, it's hard to get, and we looked at the budget issues already that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had the similar questions that Mr. Sobrana had. My main question was about the vetting, which was already answered, so thank you. Do we have any further questions? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sobrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we will go into finance items 4.8 to 4.15. 4.8, approval of the attorney-client fee contract with France Law Group to join in the class action litigation against social media at no out-of-pocket cost to the board. 4.9, approval of awarding the following contract for asphalt paving services. Term is July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, with the option to renew 2 one-year terms or 1 two-year term. Asphalt paving services contractor, Asphalt Paving Corporation. 4.10, approval of the awarding of the following contract for painting services to Dowco Painting Company Incorporated. 4.11, approval of a change order to the fiscal year 22-23 contract, maintenance and support of district IT services, contractor, the Pro Computer Service. 4.12, approval of the following change order number 1 from Falaska Mechanical for the Dane Barcy HVAC project per the attached dated February 13th, 2023, which is on file with the board secretary. 4.13, approval of the 22-23 joint transportation agreement between Camden County Educational Services Commission and the City of Vineland Board of Education in the amount of $809.84. Approval, 4.14, approval of the Century Bank 7 large bus advertisements for a 12-month term. And 4.15, approval of McKinney-Vento tuition contracts as noted on our agenda.
Questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
When do you want me to do this?
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes, I want you to abstain on 4.19, 4.11.
Wait, 4.19?
Sorry, 4.9, 4.11, 4.14.
Mr. Holmes?
4.14.
I got it all. Thank you.
Good?
Good.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'm going to ask for Dr. Rossi's assistance. We recently lost 2 employees, and I know you have the information. Can you share that information with us? Our principal, Louise Krokowski, and Charles Griffiths, and we would like to do a moment of silence. If you could just take the podium and just fill us in our background a little bit, because I don't have all that information in front of me. Thank you.
Yeah, I know Mr. Griffiths preceded my arrival. Dr. Karwowski was just an excellent, superb child advocate, a leader. She really emerged when she became the principal at Johnstone School after teaching. We had the pleasure of employing her after her 2015 retirement as a substitute administrator. She worked almost daily for some time before her health had prevented her from doing so. But she was always full of energy, just a delight to be around, and no pushover. The students in her care knew what the rules were. She always made sure of that, but I always had tremendous respect for the effort she provided and the leadership she provided. It is a big loss to the district. Even in her retirement, she was a major contributor. I'd heard many great things about Mr. Charles Griffiths. I was not here for his tenure, but many people have indicated they still follow his teaching practices today that he brought to his classroom when he was in Vineland.
Thank you for that information. Let's just take a moment of silence for our 2 former employees. Thank you.
Madam President, I just want to add a word to Mr. Rossi's tribute. I had the pleasure of being a high school classmate of Dr. Karwowski, and she was vivacious and energetic and passionate, and she had a great sense of humor. And I was blessed to be able to have her as a friend and later on as a colleague. And because Mr. Griffiths was slightly older than me, thank goodness, I also had him as a teacher and later on as a colleague. And he was a great role model for teachers, a mentor, and a fantastic gentleman. And in the beginning, when we started the Academic Bowl program, he was key to providing a lot of information and also to help the judging and get the program right, which still goes on to this day. So personally, I feel the loss keenly of both of these fine people who were a tribute to Vineland Public Schools. Thank you.
Do we have any proposed items for review or discussion or adoption by board members? See none. Approval of the itemized bill pay list for January 2023. Questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Roll call.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Any abstentions?
None at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti? Yes. Motion carries.
There are no emergent items. Opportunity for the public to address the board. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Massio. I'm a security guard at the high school. I agree with everybody deserves a second chance. I agree with Mr. Soprano also. Like, there should have been some kind of an assembly to get them acquainted with the students and security. Right now, I don't know my boundaries in my job. They're not in 11, 12 yet, but they're at the 9, 10, and I know everything that's going on. They're keeping the kids in the hallway congregating. We're supposed to be getting the kids into the classrooms. There just needs to be stuff to iron out so that we all can work as a team. I'm not a public speaker, as you can see, but it is causing a hostile work environment. It's like they're against us. We're trying to do our job. It's very uncomfortable. You know, I don't know what else to say, really, but that's my feeling on it.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Rios. I've been a guard in this district for almost 19 years this September. I make $17.25. What a disgrace. Someone else can come in at $25 out of jail. I am here for the safety of our students and our staff. We are your front line. Your security department is Vineland Public Schools' front line. Let's not forget that. We engage in creating a positive school climate and a positive relationship with our students and our families. Yet, across the board, everyone is getting a decent raise, with the exception of security. Everything in this world is increasing except our salary. Yes, we had a UAW meeting yesterday. They wanted to give me a 55-cent raise for the next 4 years. What a joke. Someone in year one can come in making $16.14. Here I am about to be year 19, and I only make $1 and change more than them. At what point is that going to change? At what point is the board going to acknowledge your people who have been committed for years with this district? I can tell you for the last 10 years, I've taken off a brand new pair of sneakers first day of school for the last 10 years, and I've handed them to a student who walks in with a holy pair of shoes. Not only am I guard, but I care about those kids, every one of them in my building. So it's really shameful from all of you and this district that you guys will set us aside for some worth living whatever and bring them in. Maybe I should go to jail and then I can come and make $25 an hour. At what point are you guys going to care about us who have been here for years and care about our kids and our building? We're not only security guards, we're guidance counselors, we're moms, we're dads, we're everything in that building because we care. It's more than our title. So why don't you guys care about us? It was mentioned earlier that money isn't an issue for them. But how about for me, 19 years, it's an issue. What are you guys going to do for us? When will we get the support from the people we elected? At what point do we get that support? Because at this rate, we're not getting it at all. Thank you.
My name's Tina Mercado. I'm a security guard for Veterans Memorial Home. I just want to invite the board members to step out of their suit and ties, their high heels and their dresses, step into a security guard's uniform, not for one day, and see what we experience. They sit up here and say their numbers have gone down, but that's not what social media says. There's fights, 2 fights, 3 fights, 7 fights a day in our schools throughout our district. And you come in and you walk in your suit and ties. Sometimes don't show us your badges. Don't sign into our schools sometimes. You know, we respect you guys, and you should respect us because we're adults. You may get paid more money than us, but you know, we're handling situations where I've got punched in my nose so hard I thought I broke my nose. I've gotten spat in my face. I've got called every name under the sky, but I still love them kids, and I still come every day, and I don't hold any grudges against them. Everybody deserves a second chance. I got a second chance at life because of the guards. When I was in school, they spoke to me, and they've since passed, and they helped me out, and I'm here, and I changed my life around, and I'm a guard, and you guys sit up here and say we can't make have a friendship with these children. You don't want relationships with these children. That's how we're running. We have to run our schools. They have to come to us. Our guidance counselors, they're all prepping for testing. Or here doing something, or sitting in their offices together having lunch with their door closed with notes on the door that they're off and go to the main office. We're their counselors. They come to us. They trust us. Come and spend more than just a couple minutes a day. Step out of your suit and tie. Put some sneakers on. Put a security shirt on. Join us. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Laura Russaman, and I have 2 students in the district, and one that has graduated and is getting her master's degree, and hopefully will maybe get a teaching job back in the district, but we'll see. But the reason I'm here tonight is I had the opportunity to address the board previously, and I'm grateful for the opportunity today. I have briefed you in the past regarding the VHS marching band. And although football and the show seasons are over, the band is still hard at work. And I just wanted to provide you with a brief update. Many of the band members participated in the Cumberland County Honors Band performance that was held last month at Bridgeton High School. It was a great experience for our kids to perform with other students from the county. And our own Ryan Madeira was awarded with the Cumberland County Honors Band Scholarship. And that was with all the other schools in the county, so it was great that our own received it. The band is currently preparing for the Pops concert scheduled for Thursday, March 23rd, and we do hope to see many of you there. This is a good opportunity for the high school students to interact with the middle school band students and talk to them about what it means to be a marching band member. The band is also preparing for an up competition at Six Flags on April 29th. And we just ask for your continued support, and especially now as budget season is upon us. We as parents, taxpayers, voters, we are all looking for some financial support for the band. The last time I spoke to you, many of you committed to supporting the band, and we are looking for you to fulfill that commitment. Vineland High School doesn't always have the best reputation in the area, but what I will tell you is it has some great kids that help to change the reputation, and the members of the marching band are some of those kids. I thank you for your time and support, and I do thank the security team for just being there for our kids. Thank you.
Old business. None. New business? None. Board member remarks. I'm going to start with Mr. Fiocchi.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Holmes?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Costa?
I'll try to keep it really short. I know this has been a long meeting. Again, I just want to thank all our presenters. Mr. Mostrell, you did a very good job with the budget presentation. Thank you very much to you and your staff for the hard work that you put into presenting the budget. I just want to touch upon, I know that Mr. Sabrana and Dr. Rossi talked about the passing of two former employees. I specifically am very heartbroken about Dr. Louise Kowalski. Not only was she my daughter's principal when she attended Johnstone Elementary School when she was in second grade, I was very shortly after my daughter started there, I became a school board member, and we quickly became very good friends. And she was a mentor. She was just an incredible person and the most passionate individual when it came to trying to do what is best for kids. She loved her job. She loved her kids. I had the opportunity to speak to her maybe a month ago, and she told me how much she missed coming into the Vineland Public Schools and helping, and she missed the kids. So she will be greatly missed, and I just pray that she knows that she can go forth and leaving a legacy behind of children that she's helped, families that she's helped, and all the great things that she did. So she will be missed. Thank you.
Mr. Costa, I thank you for the remarks. It's not a one-man team. All our supervisors, our principals, our directors, our cabinet members, Mr. Yano, and especially Dave Hart, put in a lot of hours here on weekends with me. It's a lot of time that goes into it. Kara Irvine, same thing. She's been a great help. So it's a team. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the Cunningham Academy students for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Rush in his award with the JAG program. Looks like the JAG program is doing an amazing job, and it's one of the exemplary programs, not only for the state, but nationwide. Again, thank you, Scott, and your team for putting together the budget and all the hard work you guys all do. It's much appreciated. To every single person that came to the podium to speak, thank you. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your concerns. Thank you for, every single one of your words. We hear them. We understand that some topics are heated topics. We need to sometimes think outside the box. This is no disrespect to our security team. None whatsoever. We appreciate the work they do day in and day out. We thank them for the work they do and the things that they do with our kids at our schools. But sometimes we need to think outside the box, and we need to try different things. This is a multi-pronged effort. We need to try different strategies to kind of curb the violence that's going on in our schools. These kids grow up in situations, some of them that we can't even imagine. I grew up in the same streets, the same neighborhoods. I'm a Center City kid. But thank God I had a support system at home that guided me away from the troubles, the gangs, the drugs, the alcohol. A lot of our kids don't have that. A lot of our kids do not have that, and they need to see someone that they can relate to, that they can open up to, perhaps, and they can see, I don't want to end up like that person. That's the main goal, to deter them away from ending up in jail like those individuals from Credible Messengers. The individuals from Credible Messengers, they've paid their debt to society. They've done their time. And they're even giving more than they have to. Now, obviously, they're getting paid, of course. We all know that. That's not a secret. But they can get jobs. Why choose to do that type of work? And it's not a knock on our security team. It is just a help for our security team. And like we all know, this will end in June. We'll evaluate it, and we'll come to a different conclusion perhaps next year, or we can choose to continue. We don't know. But we need to have people that relate to our kids. We need to serve them because they're the most important individuals. So I hope we can come to an agreement, the security team and all, we can all come together, the teachers at the high school, everyone involved, come together to see that this potentially has a positive outlook, something that's going to be good for our kids. And as far as the security team member that Ms. Rios, I believe her name was, she spoke, Ms. Rios, I'm going to take her up on her offer. I'll go one day, and I'll go put on security guard shirt. And for the record, we don't get paid anything to be board members. And I'll do that. I'll do that because I want to see what it is to walk in their shoes for a day. Thank you and have a good evening.
Mr. Sobrana.
Thank you to all the presenters and those who shared their thoughts with us. We appreciate it. We do listen, we do pay attention, and we do promise to follow this program and its efficacy and decide whether it needs to continue or stop. On one other side note, I had a meeting on Monday with Mr. Yano and Ms. Missouri in regard to the long delayed broadcast television truck replacement, and I'm very, very happy to say that we do have a vehicle. We have engineering specifications. I'm very excited about it. It looks wonderful. It's all digital, and it will serve two purposes. One, it will be a state-of-the-art digital broadcast platform so that we can share information and programming that's of interest and of value to our community at large and also to our school district, and also a mobile laboratory for students who are interested in information technology, broadcast TV, audio, and entertainment production, which is something I'm very excited about, something that we've had in the past and hopefully will allow us to merge the production program with classroom work and for benefit of the entire district and especially the students. I probably won't be here to see that come to fruition again, but I think we're well on the way to having it happen. Thank you.
Mr. Silva.
Nothing at this time.
Superintendent.
Just a few items. It's concerning to me that, at times we appear to not all be going in the same direction. And it's very difficult because we have so many different competing values and ideas and perspectives. One thing we can agree on, and I believe it's been said multiple times, our kids are amazing. Our students are wonderful. Our teachers are working hard. Our administrators are doing the best that they can. Our Board of Ed is engaged and plugged into the process. But we can't get better by trying to bring other people down. You can't judge folks based on their background and some of their life experiences. We should be diving into those experiences that they have and helping to, and asking them to help us interact with our students so we can get to a different level of what we know we can get accomplished at the high school, at the middle school, at our elementary schools. So it's concerning because we're not adversarial. We're not against each other. We have one common goal: to support the education of our students, to support safe, secure buildings. And I see evidence of this happening in our district. Our security guards, they are on the front line. We support and believe in the work that they're doing, and we hope that there's a meeting that's coming up that Mr. Fuqua and Mr. Provenzano will be hosting that'll hopefully clear the air on some of the issues and concerns that came up. But they're not competing for something that one can get over the other. They're not even in the same lane of performance and expectations and job responsibilities. They're doing different functions. So I want to say thank you to our security team for just coming to work every day and working hard. I want to thank our teachers, our administrators, our students, our families, our community, because by working together, we will save lives and get kids to amazing places. But if we start infighting and trying to take each other down to get something, a benefit that we perceive as being taken from us, it's all going to fall apart. We need to work together, and I think we have the ability to do that. I appreciate the board listening and being open to looking at some new supports. We will evaluate carefully. We will make sure that every program we bring in is the best program for our students, and it's all designed to be in support of excellence in all of our schools. So thank you.
I'd just like to echo Mr. Sobrana, Mr. Rivera, Ms. Acosta on what they had to say to the families of Dr. Kowalski and Mr. Griffiths. Our prayers are with you. We are thinking about you. To everyone who came out and spoke tonight, we do hear you. We're not, there's times that we can't address you, but we do hear you. Ms. Rasmussen, congratulations to the band. I don't think you guys hear it enough, but congratulations. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. Our Cunningham students, thank you for coming out and doing our flag salute. To our presenters, congratulations, Mr. Rush. Thank you, Dr. Strothers. Mr. Muscarell and your team, again, I echo Ms. Acosta and the other board members. You did a wonderful job. You are hardworking. I know you do come in on the weekends and put it together, so thank you. To our credible messengers, Mr. Fuqua, I wasn't sure about what this was about because it kind of went into the system before it came to us, but I really appreciate them coming out tonight and speaking to us and answering our questions, and it kind of, answered my questions, and I think it answered a lot of the parents' questions that had come to me. So again, we can reevaluate this in June, but I echo Mr. Yano that we do need to give this a chance. We value our security team. This is just a help for them, and we value everyone in our district. Thank you to everyone, our administrative team, our teachers, our aides, our bus drivers, everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out, but we do value you. I know sometimes you think we take you for granted and not say thank you. Thank you. We do so much appreciate you. So thank you. Have a good night. Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.